Morning. Welcome to another episode of This Stinky House or Car. Here is where we're at today. We're gonna get the Mustang into the shop, affectionately nicknamed Pepino. We've gone ahead and power washed it, as you remember. The next step was to bring it in the shop, but it turned out that the mouse was still living in the back of this trunk. After I cleaned it out, mouse house made it back in. So I'll open up the trunk and show you what he did. So here's some of the new fresh droppings. There's the rat and mouse getter outer. There's some of the wiring damage that he did to it, so it's pretty chopped up. But I believe I haven't seen any activity in here for a week now. So we're going to go around the front, and whenever I'd open that, I'd kind of peek in here. No new activity. Non-rat induced wiring nest. Previous owner credited. There's some of the rat food, if you will, that I believe did him in, hopefully. And that's how he was probably getting in. He's getting in through the hole in the floor. So this car is not without its rust challenges. So when I would open this up, he would be hiding under the hood and staring right at me. So let's do that and see if he's here. He'd usually be sitting up there. No, I put some food in here, and apparently, and I don't know where he went. So I sure would like to have evidence that he's no longer here, but I don't. So we're gonna have to hesitantly bring this car in the shop with the hopes that he's gone, because I haven't seen any evidence that he's been around here. But the funny thing is he was clearly in here while I was power washing it. Okay.
Now on.
So with that, let's get started. Right?
Yeah.
Say, play that intro.
Play that intro.
All right, that was good. As good as a 50 subscriber channel can get, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we're powered up. Let's move this junk so we can get in the shop. Okay. If you want to go stand all the way at the back of the shop when I pull them in. Okay. All right, as you can hear, it doesn't sound very happy, and I'm pretty sure it has a whole lot to do with, hold on, I think it has a lot to do with those wires being chewed right there. I think that has a lot to do with the idle. So I'm going to fix those before. Oh, the thing is it won't, you can't shut it off. I'll also show you that here in a minute. So we're going to fix the wires, we'll fire it back up, and I'll show you the next problem that we have with it. Okay, cameraman number 1. Hold that and point that right here. Okay, so we have to fix this plug, girls and viewers. As you can see, our wires have been reduced to Bluetooth wires, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think before we do anything, why don't we vacuum out the mouse poopy? It's a good idea. Okay.
And I am going to go open up my shop.
Now let's see if that...
Now, Daddy, I'm going to go open up my shop.
Okay, you open up your shop. I have no idea what that means.
Okay. Open up our shop. Yeah.
All right, so now that we have it in shop, let's get this trunk open. And let's get the that schmutzy. Let's get all that out of there. And you would think a little trunk like this would stay open, but it doesn't. Oh, if you're wondering what I found these. I think I found these at Power Torque, wherever that brand is. I found them at one of the parts stores. I think it might have even been the AutoZone, but it's got that little jaw, and I really like how they work there. So without further delay, I think what we'll do is we will vacuum out the fresh mouse deposits. Yes, this car refuses to go away quietly into that good night with the mouse. So we're going to figure out how to get rid of it. All right. I'm pretty sure he's not in here anymore. But bringing it into the shop, I'm very nervous because I don't want something crawling around in here and eating the foam and wires. And there's plenty for mice to eat in here that's not food. But bringing this car in is making me really nervous because it definitely had life in it. And it had life in it while I was pressure washing it out there. So let's just say we are going to place these bags in places that can be eaten. Just in case. And I think before I vacuum, I'm going to pull this out. There's a tray. There's like a trim, this tray right here, that I'd like to take out because we're going to be all in this car and cleaning it better anyway. We're going to be scrubbing the daylights out of in here so that if you ever want to put something in here again, I'm not putting stuff on top of this. It's going to be scrubbed and disinfected 1,000 times over. But I want to take this out before we start vacuuming because there might be stuff back there and I don't want to stir it up once I get it out. So let's pull that out first. All right, panel popper. It's a plastic one, but it should do the trick. I said it should do the trick. It's not doing the trick. Those are pretty. Those are in there. Okay. I'll try this one. Maybe this one isn't nearly as much of a insanaholic. Oh, these things are real in there. Okay, that one came out. I can't even tell you the aroma. It's just, that's lost forever. There it is. Trying so hard not to breathe in when I put my face in there. I have no idea what these are.
And it's time to
Well, he's not dead behind that.
Oh, yes, it did.
Parts of me is sad. All right, antivirus, still out. I'm sure it is. Let's pretend though that we've cleaned up all the antivirus. Let's pretend. All right, so what we're gonna do is try and repair this. Hopefully it's just chewed here at the top. Looks like that it is. And I have some flush cuts somewhere, but because my shop is a mess, I can't find them at the moment. Probably in a toolbox I've taken to the dump. To the junkyard or something. All right, there's some exposed wire there, but that looks like that wire is still intact. So I'm gonna look for my flush cuts and give you some tech tips here. Let's take a look what we have. We have, I don't know how much you can see of this. Let me get you in here. This wire has some exposed ends, and this one was eaten clean off in half. And I'm sure most of my idle issues are, you know, because that's, I'm hoping anyway, that that's the reason why it's idling so poorly. This car has about 130,000 miles on it, so it runs good. I think they spent more money on putting loud exhaust on it than anything else, but at the very least it looks like the oil was good, so I changed it when I first got it. And it's now 2 years later that we've had it, and of course putting it out by the tree row in the corral didn't do it any favors. So we've got to now fix this mess. So let me get the camera set up and we'll do some wire patching, and hopefully we can get this car to run and idle. We'll fire it back up once this is done just to check and see if this resolved the issue. Okay, found my flush cutters. And for those of you who aren't familiar with flush cutters, they're basically like a pair of snips, but they're ground flat on the back side. And flush cutters allow you to get really close to the material, especially zip ties, so you don't slice yourself wide open, and allow you to really get in there and just sort of, you know, nip it real close so that you don't leave a tail that can cause injury. So I love these things. I have several pair, and ironically enough, they're always missing because I use them so much. And they also prevent potentially not nipping other wires when you're trying to cut something. And they're just a favorite of mine. That's why they're always missing. Alright, so now you can see, I think the damage at this point is limited to about here. This is a blue and white wire that was cut and eaten. That much of it's gone by our stupid little mouse friend. But they left some exposed wire here, and some of the strands are compromised. Now the wire's still connected, and I'm sure it still conducts. So I like to do a little repair on that wire before I cover it. And what I've got here prepared is my soldering iron. I'm not sure how much of this you can see, but what I like to do is I like to soak it in solder. And if anyone's ever used a soldering iron and had to do wires when you don't have a third hand around, you know this could be very tricky. So what I like to do though is get it hot, test it, let it heat the wire. You can actually smell the vinyl cover sort of melting. That's okay, because we're going to coat it. I don't want to cut this wire, but I want to repair it. And what I have is just a simple solder here. I'm going to keep pressure on it. So what I'm doing is I'm tapping the soldering iron. I'm holding it on the wire. And this is a cheap Amazon piece of junk, so it's not very hot. It takes forever. I mean, it gets hot, but it just seems to take forever. Like is this necessary? Yeah, not really. You could just put some tape on it because it's still connected. It's just something I've done whenever I've seen people butcher. I've done a lot of stereo repair installation, so I've bought a lot of junky cars in my lifetime. So most of them have never had a quality radio in them worth a squat. And I always say that a soldered connection is the best connection. There you go. And you can repair wires as soon as I get this thing to start drawing it in. There it goes. There, as you can see, it draws that solder into the wire. I'm not sure if you can see that, but that wire is now, in my opinion, repaired. And because it was compromised by the teeth of the mouse, so that one isn't nearly as bad. That piece right there, that spot, is as strong as it ever will be. So we'll put the soldering iron here, keep it hot, it's off, and we'll move on to the next. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go look for my heat shrink tubing and see if I can't find a piece of wire that's a similar gauge and color if I have to piece it in. Because if I do this, it's going to create a loop, and I'm not a fan of that, even though I'm going to create two solder connections, which is I'm also not a fan of that either. But this has been compromised enough that I think we just need to keep it the right length. So I'll pause this and go get some more materials. Okay, one of the things that I like to do after this is I like to cover the wire with tape. Try to draw that tape across lengthwise like that, and then you pinch it and it creates a fold. Now you can leave that fold if you want. That's just to keep the wire covered, because it's going to be inside, and that fold will be just fine. You can snip it short, real close, but because this is inside the engine bay, what's probably best is a double layer. And then if you do that with, say, another piece, and you spiral that, you now have sort of like a double insulated wire. And that's going to be a lot better than it was before. And I made it just a bit short, so I'm going to do another piece at the top, because this had 2 bites and not 1. I just want to go over it and roll it. Try to keep it from wrinkling. Hopefully you can see that. My arms aren't in the way. And then back down away from the end. That's about as good as you're going to get with a wire repair. Now it's soldered. Now I've got a little apparatus here that I use for soldering. It's got a magnifying glass on it and things. It's also got these really handy dandy alligator clips to sort of hold a wire up, and I've pre-stripped that, and I've pre-cut my wire here. And what I'm going to do before I pinch it in there is I'm going to twist these. I like to twist them. I know people use butt splices and they're just fine, but remember, this is an engine bay, and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that a soldered connection is far better than something that can shake apart over time. And as you can see, a butt splice would probably be fine for a period of time, get you home. But it ain't chrome. That was stupid. All right, let's heat this up. And again, I'm not really sure how much of this you can see, but if you heat this up, this is copper wire. The heat will draw it in. And then you have a mechanical bond, just like that. And now that's not coming apart. Not ever, because it's not sitting on top. That wire is bonded. If I can find a piece that'll slide down this wire. This wire is just white wire. It's from a painless wiring harness, so it's probably got some writing on it that says, yeah, like something, I don't know, there's writing on it right there, but I don't really care. I've used this harness for Mater, and this wire is compromised, like there's teeth marks up in there, and that's gonna be really hard to get at. But as you can see now, I can lay the wire out, and I can see if I cut it here, It gives me a little room for error. Gives me just a little bit of wiggle room so it's not too tight. There. So now I can save this wire for something else. Because that's soldered, this shouldn't. I've done this before where I've cut it in and put a piece in here like this, and then you go to pull the casing off, and because it's such a short piece of wire, it pulls the whole casing off. So you sort of have to, give it a couple of, there. If you can see that, now we've got our end. And now we can fold these together. You know what? I didn't get any. You know what? It's okay. I can do electrical tape on this particular repair. It's not that critical. Usually when I'm doing things that are on a grand scale in a wiring harness, I tend to really like to use heat shrink. But I think we'll stick to the tape method for this guy. Peppino did his job. He gave us content. All right. That appears to be, let's see if you can see that. Yep. I won't block the camera. Let me scrape that tip. Get my arm out of the way. There it goes. Soaks right into that wire. And now you got a perfect joint. Give it a second to cool off, and then we'll tape that wire. We'll probably roll tape that one. Okay, let's move our tools out of here. I brought my little torch in case I was going to do heat shrink, and these things are great for that. And they don't put out that much heat if you don't just put it in one spot. So just a gas station lighter. They work really good. We're going to try and get in here and tape this in a way that gets the wire covered. And I'm struggling because there's not a lot of give to where this is, and it's been the way it was eaten. Really ate it close to both the connector and on the harness. Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm not wild about it, but beggars can't be choosers. Okay, if we remember, it would not run and idle. So let's see if that fixed it. That's our first obvious signs of chopped wires. I don't see anything else, and it runs on all 8, so we know the injectors are getting power. So let's give it a fire up and see what happens. Yeah. Okay, let's do this. It's that connection right there. That was it. But now, here's the next problem. Let's say you're firing up this car, like me. And let's say you're done driving this car or running the engine and you want to turn off the key. Hey, there's no key in there. That's all right. Let's just shut it off. Yeah. All right. So that's what we have to fix next. And right now we got to go kill the engine, so I got to pull the coil. Because if you pull this, oh, look at that, yeah. You gotta kill it. There. And then here. So I don't run the battery down. All right, so what I had to do is find out that it wasn't the key, the ignition, because I put a new solenoid in there. What it was in, somebody probably hammered this thing with, I don't know, probably a screwdriver and stole this car at one point. I don't know. But what ended up happening is, I'm going to show you this right here. I'm just getting it ready on the bench. Is I had to buy this. This is the whole mechanism, and where it's damaged is it's in here on that steering column in the car, because when, and this is a brand new key. So when you turn it off, it doesn't do any of that. There's something between here and here inside the car that's not working. So, and this feels, I don't know, feels okay, I guess. So our next job is to get this in there. So let's get us set up to do that. I think what I'm probably going to do is put this top down, because it's dark in there and it stinks, and I don't like the smell of it, because it's just radically, it's just disgusting. So let's put the top down and then get in there and start taking this stuff apart. And then these have to come out, because these aren't the right seats. Pepino's probably dead under there anyway. And we're going to get the center console out. We're replacing that. We're going to go through that, upgrading that a bit. The back seat's already out. And let's keep moving. All right. Okay. Next, we're going to get the seats out, I think. No, let's do the steering column. However, the steering column is above one of the biggest rat piles of poo I've ever seen. So I've got to figure out, I think I'm going to, before we get started on that, I think I'm going to let this soak for a while, and then we're going to come back to it, because I think I'm going to soak it with some antibacterial stuff, because I'm going to have to lay down in there and get under there and do all sorts of wrenching, and I'm going to have to figure out how to put that in there. And right now, I did not take that out. I bought that. So I'm going to have to figure it out. I don't want my head down there, or a hat or anything down there where there was, you know, lots of poo. So I'm going to soak that, and then we're going to come back to it. So the next time you see me is we should be able to get in there safely without it stinking so bad. Okay, round one. This I used on the carpet to kill it. Let's kill the virus if it is in there. I mean, I soaked the carpet so it's kind of damp, and that's kind of gross. But this is what I used to at least kill whatever's in there. Hopefully it worked. And if it doesn't, and you guys have a better sauce, by all means put it in the comments, because I'm happy to learn from you guys as much as anything else. So I tried this, and that seemed to make me feel better, but now it's all funky. But the next step is to spray something in there for the odor because it still smells like you know what. And since it's pretty nasty, we're going to go with this stuff that I use in the house when my cat used to get sick or miss the litter box, you know, and would get afraid to get in the carpet or on the couch. This stuff works really well. It's called Nature's Miracle skunk odor remover. I mean, if it's in there, it'll get it out, hopefully. This is pretty nasty, so let's give it a shot. Okay, so just to recap, step 1, kill virus. Step 2, kill fumes. We'll see if it works. Okay, so when you're taking cars apart, you can do various things. You can put all the bolts together from the inside, the interior, or for each component, you can keep all the bolts together. You could use, I like these Ziploc bags because you can then get a Sharpie and you can write what they are on it and see it against the white background. And I think that's what we'll do with this car because believe it or not, this is going to be a budget refresh. And these cars are, here's why I think that this is a good candidate for a restoration. You got a great base platform that's really bulletproof, and if you want to keep it stock and just it makes a lot of noise and it has a little bit of pep, this is a convertible that still to this day can be driven and enjoyed, and you don't have to go out and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's not like some, you know, BMW or Mercedes where you're always dealing with issues, especially like the E46 series. Those things are definitely, they have cooling systems that are pressurized that can be really difficult. They're fun to drive and they're great cars. But I think if you want something that you want to kind of get fixed up and you want to put a little money in and you want to enjoy it on the weekend and take it to some car shows, it's old enough now that it's pretty cool, I think. So that's what we're doing here. But this car that I bought, after getting it home, realized that there was a lot of things, a lot of neglect. Let's just say. I mean, the previous owner did what he could. It looked pretty nice. He put a, you know, it looked overall pretty nice, so it was worth buying. And it drives great. Drives fine, and it's all original. But the body leaves a lot to be desired, and there's a lot of things that don't work in the center console. So in this series, while we do this car, we've already got some interior things that we've already got planned to do. So change some things, to upgrade some things, to do the double din upgrade. And I've got this build posted on the sn95 Mustang forum. And I'm looking for tips and tricks from that community to hopefully help me get this car running with all the right upgrades, because ultimately it's my wife's car, and she wants to, if I want her to be able to drive it to work someday, I don't want to worry that it's got some sort of, you know, Whipple charger or something, then she's going to have to worry about it if it breaks down. I want to keep it as original as possible, and it runs great. So that's where we are now. So now that I've said all that, this front seat bag will be the front seat, driver's seat. The bolts came out. I've got to find the other two bolts. I just want to get the seat out because I have no idea what's underneath it. So let's figure that out. Illuminati, there we go. Oh, look at that. How the heck do you get those bolts out without getting your hands in that mess? It doesn't stink. It smells like cleaner, so that's a good step. Okay. Whew. Boy, did I just get a whiff. Oh, that stinks. What a stench. Okay, let me get you in there and take a look. All right, so first and foremost, for you 95 Mustang guys, you know by just looking at the seat cushion, that is an LX or a V6 seat, and it's not power. This car had leather rear seats in the back, so I know it had a leather interior because this is leather. That's what that came out of the back seat, and that's the color. So they probably had torn up seats and they replaced them with these just to make it look nice, and then they got old. So, oh man, besides the smell, it looks like what he did was, the guy who owned this before, was he changed out the carpet, because this carpet is actually pretty new. That's where the mountain of rat feces was. But he put a black carpet in here, and they rattle canned these black, because if you accidentally bump into them and scratch them, it's tan underneath. And spray painted that. Not sure if you can tell, not so much here, so much. Just if you squint, you can tell that this may have been painted. And when I first bought it and drove it, it was maybe sticking to my forearm. I can't confirm or deny it. It's just speculation at this point. But I did replace the steering wheel. It was all chewed up and ratty. It was a tan leather one, and it just looked horrible. So I found a really nice clean example of a leather wrapped black one, and this was tan. I'm going to replace that, and I'm going to keep that black and black. They kind of do that on some cars, and I'm not afraid to do that because we're changing the color in here completely. And while it isn't exactly a surprise, I do want to hold off on telling you what it is until we start really getting into it. But some of these plastics, they just have to go. All right, now that we're in here, I have to get this column out, and oh, I'm not looking forward to that job. So, because I have to get my body in there, and you can see it's still wet from all the cleaners. It looks pretty clean. You're probably thinking, don't be such a chicken, but you get in here. So I'm going to probably take this out next. I might even just cut all this out. I'd rather lay on the metal than lay on this carpet, to be perfectly honest. So we'll see how far I keep going. I'll bring you in here in just a bit. Here's a quick update. I pulled the carpet out. Got the back seat. Well, you already knew that. Back seat was out. Both seats are out. The center console out. And I'm going to work on the seat belts, get these out. I think we're going to check the forum to see if there's a better seatbelt option that they upgraded to. I think there is. These seatbelts are shot, so this car needs seatbelts. And if we can upgrade the scenario to whatever the newer version went, so that that's not, you know, in your feet when you get in the back, then I think we'll look for that online. We'll check the forum, see if the sn95 Mustang forum has got any good tips or tricks. The one thing that was, I should have expected it because it was sitting out there with all this mouse poop, is we had another invader in this car, and you can see one crawling around over there. Now, I've sprayed these things, and he fell in that little hole, and I sprayed them with this, and it says that it kills him. And as you can see, I'm spraying him, and he just runs around. And then what I found is at the bottle, you kill him with the bottle. So yes, this car had some cucarachas in it, a whole bunch. And I'd sprayed them, and then they'd still crawl around, so then I would smash them with the bottom of this bottle. So Garden Tech 7 insect killer does say, I read it inside, does say German and American cockroaches that it kills. Well, these must be some like Spanish ones or something, because they're not dying, they just kept crawling around. So then you just smash them with the bottom of the bottle, and then they're dead. So it does work, but you gotta, the sauce on the inside doesn't appear to be doing anything. See, like right there, there's another one. Let's spray him. Yeah, he just gets up and walks away like, oh man, you just made me all wet. So then take the bottle and then it works. So that's how you kill him with this. You know, or a hammer. Probably could use a hammer. A bottle full of water. I don't know. Does this stuff go bad? It's been in the shed for a while, so... But it does say in there. Not on this part, but inside that label. So I've been spraying them, and they've just been, you know, hanging out, and then I had to smash them with the bottle. So, but that's where we are now. I think the meese are out. Got all the meesons out. No more meese, no more spitters. And cucarachas are still probably... There's another one up there. Let's smash them with the bottle. Just if you sit around long enough, they kind of come out. Oh, they're hiding spots. Because all the... Apparently this stuff... Maybe they don't like the smell of this because I'm spraying it inside of places. And then they're like, oh, I don't like that. And I thought there'd be a bunch under here. When I took this out, there's none. I can't wait to pull this dash out. And now that this stink bomb turd is in the shop, all these things are going to get into the shop. And that this I've been able to, as dirty as this place gets, I've been able to keep mice and pests out of here. And well, this hulking turd just rolled in and brought an entire ecosystem of wildlife in here. And I'm not altogether that happy about my decision right now, bringing this in the shop. So that's where the car is. The next step is to get the steering column out. The dashboard will come out. I got to inspect the wiring. The AC controls don't work at all. I think the fan does. So I got to see what's going on behind that, but we're doing a bit of a color change in here anyway, so it's just a good time to just pull stuff apart and get the infestation out of here. Now remember, and I should know this, that there's no food here in the shop. There's nothing for things to live on in here, so it's been relatively insect and rat free. I don't keep anything in here. I mean, I keep drinks in that fridge, but there's not a whole lot of anything else in here. Other than wires for mice. So that's where we are with the car. So hopefully, maybe I should run to the hardware store and go get some, you know, cucaracha motels and stick them in here overnight, because they'll probably come out in the dark. And that would be nice to get rid of those things before I start working on this car really deeply. So there's your update. That's where the mouse hotel? Rat hotel. Mustang GT convertible is currently. So once I get the steering column out and I can turn it on and off, that'll be a really nice update. You know, oh well, yeah, upgrade. It will take it from I can't shut it off to at least I can turn it off, and then we can keep working. So there we are. Catch you guys after we make some more progress. Okay. Back on the Mustang just for a bit. I've decided that after the cucaracha infestation, went ahead and grabbed a few roach motels, tossed them about, a couple of traps. I just seen enough activity that I feel like we're just going to let this sit and marinate with those things overnight and get back after it tomorrow. So with that, I'll see you guys tomorrow.